conflicts and controversies in our study of Philippine history. The reason why, primarily because historians could be subjective in their interpretation. This might be biased in their educational background. They might be biased on their personal interpretation on the artifacts. Another thing is there is also multi-perspective in history. Today, we are going to talk about the first controversial Catholic Mass in the Philippines. Was it happened in Limasawa, Leyte, or in Masao, Butuan? That is the controversy that we are going to talk about today. 1998, the National Historical Institute declared that the island of Limasawa was the place in which the first Catholic Mass happened in the Philippines. However, there was some claims that Butuan was also the place of the first Catholic Mass took place somewhere in the island of Masao. The first Mass in the Philippines was officiated by Father Pedro Valderrama with Ferdinand Magellan during their navigation. There are actually two sources that will serve as evidence as to where, when, and how did this Catholic Mass transferred in the Philippines. The first account was from Francisco Abolo, a pilot one of Magellan's ship that was Trinidad and also one of the 18 survivors. The second account was coming from Antonio Pigafetta, who was sent particularly by the King of Spain together with the Ferdinand Magellan to document their voyage to Eastern Island. Now let us look the account of Francisco Albo, and it was found in citation of Miguel A. Bernal in his book Butuan or Limasawa, the site of the first Mass in the Philippines. We have to note that Albo did not mention about the first Mass. He mentioned about the planting of the cross on the top of the hill. He did not also mention Limasawa or Masao one. Now, let us look the account of Antonio Pigafetta. As of now, on July 15, 2020, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines Board of Commissioners signed Resolution Number 2 last July 15, affirming that the sign of the first Mass happened in Limasawa. This was still based on the argument that those historians who approved the first Mass happened in Butuan lack the sufficient evidence that indeed it happened in Butuan. And as of now, the decision of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines is still Limasawa until historians would approve there is enough evidence that indeed the first Catholic Mass was happened in Masao Island.
Good day, this is Ate Jet. I'm here to talk about what is Cavite Mutiny and what happened that time. So, Cavite Mutiny occurred on January 20, 1872, when Filipino military troops at San Felipe, a Spanish arsenal in Cavite, Philippines, revolted. Around 200 locally organized colonial forces and workers rose up in the hope of escalating the revolt to a nation level. The 12th of June has been a significant date in the lives of all Filipinos, the whole Filipino country, as well as Filipino communities across the globe. Congregate on this day to commemorate the Philippines' independence. In 1872, two important events occurred in Cavite Mutiny, the martyrdom of the three martyr priests, Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Borges, and Jacinto Zamora. However, not everyone was aware that foreign stories of the same incident existed. Spanish perspective narrative in 1872, Cavite Mutiny, at first both Montero and Izquierdo claimed that the abolition of privilege enjoyed by the workers of the Cavite arsenal, such as non-payment of tributes and exemption from forced labor, were the main cause of the revolution as they called it. However, other causes were enumerated by them, including the Spanish Revolution, which overthrew the circular throne and dirty propaganda spread by the government. So now let me discuss about the response to injustice. The Filipino version of the incident, the Filipino account of the violent episode in Cavite was written by Dr. Trinidad Hermi Miguel Pardo P. Camara, a Filipino academic and researcher. According to him, the episode was only a mutiny by the Cavite Arsenal's native Filipino troops and employees, who were disgruntled with the removal of their privilege. On January 20, 1872, a group of around 200 soldiers, arsenal workers, and Cavite citizens, led by Sergeant Lamadrid, rose out in arms and killed commanding commander and all Spanish officials in sight. Izquierdo ordered the reinforce of Spanish forces in Cavite right away. Tavera believed that the Spanish friars and Izquierdo used the Cavite mutiny as a strategic instrument to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines by enhancing it as an overflowing conspiracy to control not only the native army but also residents of Cavite and Manila, and most importantly, the native clergy. Fearing that their power in the Philippines would dwindle, the friars exploited the episode and presented it to the Spanish government as a larger plot across the archipelago with the goal of undermining Spanish sovereignty. The narrative of Edmond Flechou, a French writer, supported Tavera's story by verifying that the incident occurred as a result of resentment among the arsenal employees and troops in Cavite Fort.